there are better and worse attorneys. In other words, that's called a target market. Every product or service has a target market. McDonald's has a target market. In other words, it's people, it's certain groups and segments of a population that buy and utilize that product and service way more than the others. It's called a target market. Every product or service has a target market. And the defining characteristics of a target market are these factors. Demographics. There's certain demographics of people more likely to buy, of attorneys or chiropractic patients more likely to buy chiropractic or to work with referrals. Demographics is like age, sex, marital status, familial status, income, things like that, okay? Now, this is the why component, or excuse me, this is the who component. That's who buys. Then there's what's called the geographics, demographics, then there's geographics. That's where they come from. That's the distance they come to buy a product or service. Like a personal injury attorney, he's only going to work with certain chiropractors in certain distances from his office. So if you're marketing to people that are outside of your distance, even though you get their business, you won't get their business because you're too far away. So that's another category, is geographics. Demographics, geographics, psychographics. Geographics is where they buy. Psychographics is why they buy. Psychographics is lifestyle, attitudes, and beliefs. How hard is it to change somebody's lifestyle? How hard is it for anybody to change your lifestyle, your attitude, or your belief? How difficult is that? That's why businesses go broke. They try to spend money trying to change people's lifestyles, attitudes, or beliefs. You'll go broke before that happens. So the key to marketing is to find out who is already buying that product or service, and that's who you want to go to. Not everybody buys, in other words, not all attorneys will refer to chiropractors. Not all people will go to a chiropractor. Some psychographic profile of people will go not at all, some will go some, and some will go a lot. And it's based on, it's really the 80-20 rule. 80% of a segment will create 20% of a segment will create 80% of the business. It is not linear. So a small percentage of any segment, demographically, psychographically, will create 80% of your business. So you got to know this. So the next one, and remember we're talking about a target market. So you got demographics, geographics, psychographics. You have what's called psychographic barriers. Those are subconscious perceptions of why people will not do something, why they will not do something. Some common psychographic barriers are people will go in toward a metropolitan economic hub way more than they'll go away. In other words, if it's 2 miles to go in to buy a product or service versus 2 miles to go away, there's a lot of natural resistance to going 2 miles away because it's unfamiliar. They don't go 2 miles away. They're used to going into economic hubs, so there's high familiarity. So they don't think anything about going 2 miles in. A classic example is where my office was here. I had 3 psychographic barriers. It was driving away from the major economic hub, number 1. 2, county line. 3, major intersection. I had 3 psychographic barriers. I could not pull anybody 2 miles north of me. I couldn't pull them because of those 3 psychographic barriers. I easily can pull 9 miles south of me. So I could go 9 miles in the other direction. Why? Because all those people are used to driving in toward the economic hub right by my office. And there were no barriers. That's called a psychographic barrier. Those are some of the common psychographic barriers. So one of the first things you have to do in marketing is you have to find your geographic radius of draw. North, south, east, and west. And it will almost always be limited by what's called a psychographic barrier. A roadway, railroad, a waterway, county line. Here's another example for personal injury attorneys and a psychographic barrier. The county. County hubs, there'll be a county and then there's typically a county hub where all the legal stuff happens. And the attorneys put their offices there because they're always in and out of the courthouse. It's called the county hub or county seat. Well, if I was going to open another office, and so if I develop all these relationships with these attorneys and I was going to open another office, the biggest mistake I could make right now is going to another county. Because over all of these attorneys They want to stay in that county because that's where their relationships are, that's where their location is, and that's where it's easy for them to walk across the street and go to the courthouse, not to get in a car and drive 45 minutes away with people they don't know. So one of the worst things you can do when you open a second office is because as soon as you do that, you got to develop all new relationships. You just increased your amount of work and time and money. Some of the easiest offices, second offices to open, is to stay in the same county, go to the next city that's too far for those people to go, and use your existing relationships that already have clients in that city. That's the easiest business to get.